Well, greetings and welcome to the latest webinar from Navigare. We're so happy you're here. We've been doing a series of webinars over the months, and ever since the onset of the coronavirus and things started closing down, we initially started trying to bring about some information on base openings and closings and have some good news. Our European bases are in full swing. Lots of boats going out. We have our Croatia base has been operating for a couple of months. Spain has been running for a month. Sweden's up and running. Greece is up and running. Just got a live report from Greece last week. It is beautiful. BVI concerns a lot of us. We expect an announcement fairly soon. There have been some articles coming out that might indicate that there will soon be some sort of announcement. But I'll keep my eyes peeled. I actually check a couple times a day. Tomorrow morning, I will definitely be back checking again. Hard to believe it's been all these months since we've been locked at home and not traveling so much. So great to break away and start thinking about sailing, talking about sailing, thinking about getting out and chartering. And the reason some of you are here is to learn more about ownership, putting a boat in a charter fleet and earning some revenue, or for tax planning purposes or enjoyment. We're going to get into that. I want to thank everybody for attending. We do have people from around the world. Again, we're going to focus mostly on the U.S. market. We're more familiar with the tax code here, but there are some advantages that carry through for anybody in the world. So we spoke about guaranteed ownership in our last program. This time we're going to talk about our shared revenue program, or as we call it, our ultimate program. And basically it's a program where the revenue that is brought in by Navigare is shared typically on a 75-25% split, and out of your 75% split, you'll pay your share of the costs. Before we get into that, I just want to touch again on why Navigare. We have really very proud of the company. We've been in business for almost 20 years. Jesper Rongard and Per Abramson, a couple of college graduates who did their summer work as captains in Greece, got out of college and decided that life on the water was much better than the office jobs they found themselves in. So they formed the company. It's been growing steadily and regularly for 20 years. Started out with 6 boats, and we're over 300 boats worldwide right now. Importantly, the 2 of them are very active in the company. They're involved every day. They started out doing everything from delivering the boats, commissioning the boats, doing all the maintenance, captaining the boats, selling all the charters, cleaning the boats. So they really know the industry inside and out, and the priority for them is to have excellent, and frankly for everybody in the company, is to have excellent experiences for our charter guests and owners. So we've got a lot of policies in place to do that, including our maintenance program that is second to none. Love to tell you a bit more about that as we move through the presentation. So we have on the webinar Joaquin Luna from our sales team and Amanda Haley, also from our sales team. Wasn't sure Amanda was going to be able to make it. Looks like her screen may be frozen. We'll go to Amanda a little bit later. Amanda's actually doing a delivery from Cancun to Fort Lauderdale, so she is barely in range, and hopefully she can stick with us. So our shared revenue program, very different from the guaranteed revenue program. And let me ask Joaquin to tell us a couple of reasons why somebody might be interested in putting a boat in our shared revenue program.
Well, thank you, Philip. Um, there are several reasons that the shared revenue program works, and it shares, some of those are shared with the other programs like the Complete and the Guaranteed Revenue Program. We still offer the hassle-free ownership of the other programs, in that they provide a revenue stream, handle all of the marketing of the boat. The boat will always be ready for its charter customers and also ready for its owner, when they're ready to sail. And we handle all of the maintenance professionally. So the hassle-free side is still there. But some of the big advantages of this program have to do with revenue and tax planning. So you're really allowed to maximize the revenue as it's shared. Both the owner of the boat and Navigare share the risk a bit, allowing more revenue to pass through to the owner. And then it's structured to take advantage of U.S. IRS tax laws, particularly active revenue streams, and it allows you to maximize the depreciation deduction that's available to U.S. taxpayers. And I think there's more, but
there is. Sorry, I had a bus going by, so I went on mute for a second. Amanda, what are some other reasons somebody might be interested in placing a boat in the Navigare fleet in the shared revenue program?
I would say one of the greatest advantages to the Ultimate program, as we call it, is the flexibility. So you have the ability to maximize your income by taking less weeks sailing, or you have the ability to maximize your sailing time while sacrificing some of the revenue that you would have shared. So you have the beauty of doing a lot of sailing and enjoying your boat more so than some of the programs that are making sure that you only spend a certain amount of weeks on your boat. Or you can actually say, hey, I'm only going to use my boat a few weeks out of the year, and in the rest of the time, I want it making money. So the flexibility of the Ultimate plan combined with the tax advantages is really where it's at for me.
Great, and as I'm clicking more years into my 60s, I'm starting to think about people who are thinking about retiring in a certain amount of time. Great program. Definitely, if you're thinking about getting a loan on a boat while you're still actively working and have maximum revenue, great time to buy the boat, purchase it, put it in the program. And there's a lot of variability, and one of the advantages with Navigare is that you can leave the boat in for significantly longer than most of the industry. We'll allow a boat to stay in our fleet for up to 7 years. However, some people may have some plans down the road in 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. And we're happy to work with anybody on those kind of time frames. The reason we can keep boats in our charter fleet longer really is due to the level of maintenance that we do on the boats every year. Right now, we're doing our off-season work on the boats in the Virgin Islands, and it is an extensive list. We do it every year. We guarantee it in writing. It's right in our contract, everything we're going to do on the boat. So those are some great reasons. Seems to be tax planning and maximizing the revenue potential are big, as well as usage time, whether you want to use your boat a lot and have less revenue, or use your boat very little and maximize your revenue. So we're going to I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to show you a presentation that shows a Lagoon 46 in our program. So hopefully you can see this. And great picture of the Lagoon 46. Here we go. The presentation is going to talk about a 2022 boat, model year. That would be a boat that entered our BVI fleet in November of 2021, for example. It would be a 2022 model year. For this presentation, I wanted to have maximize the cost so there's no shock there. Might be less than this. I tried to use the worst case scenario numbers in this presentation. So we're looking at a boat that costs $780,000. And typically we're looking at a yearly income of $193,000. And the share of the revenue is going to be the 75-25 split. So after paying the costs, and in this scenario, unlike a guaranteed program, the owner is going to pay for the costs like insurance, slip fees, maintenance, the annual BVI license, a few things like that. So based on all of our numbers over the last 20 years, we expect, and we use for our calculations, so we can calculate how much to guarantee, annual costs of $103,000. So the income, and that $103,000 includes the 25% back to the Navigare base. So you as the owner will have a revenue on the order of $90,000 per year. So very, very lucrative return on this boat. So here we go, a delivery year 2021. We have an interest rate, most likely, again, you can do better than 5.25%. Not going to be home mortgage type rates. The boat has more risk than a home typically. It's actually being chartered, which is a little riskier for the banks. It's in a foreign country, so a little risk. We're seeing a lot of the current loans going out right at the high fours, 4.9, somewhere in that range. Seems to be a pretty typical rate now. Down payment, again, I use 25%. There are banks that'll do 20%, but I figured I'd hit you guys with heavy numbers, and we hope to come in a little bit better. And again, instead of doing a 20-year loan, I put in a 15-year term for the loan. So the payments would be higher, but the boat will be paid down significantly more than it would be paid down with a 20-year loan. So here we go, the financing. The loan amount would be $585 after that 25% down payment for 15 years. Now, at the end of 7 years, that loan amount will be $368,000. So we'll have paid that, you'll have paid down significantly. We estimate the value of the yacht at $507,000. And that's a very fair estimate. And on the next pages, I'll show you a little justification for that, because that's typically a concern when somebody is thinking about getting into this. We want to talk about exit strategies, and I'm so happy that we have a question about exit strategy, and I'll answer in the question and answer section. By the way, now is a good time to start typing in questions. I'm going to hold the webinar to 30 minutes, and we're going to try and get through everything. And if we have time for additional questions, love to answer them. So the yearly loan payment, $56,000. After the loan payment, your revenue of $89,000, you should end up, we would expect a revenue of $33,000 after paying the mortgage payment. So a fairly tidy return for up to 7 years. And we do have people that are taking all of that return and throwing it into the mortgage payment to pay down the mortgage very significantly. So here it is in visual, a little different for the Ultimate program. All of the possible income on the left side, and then you have all of the expenses, everything you would ever pay into the program. So the operating costs, the loan down payment, the total loan installments during those 7 years, and then the remaining loan amount. So again, over the course of these 7 years, we would expect you would have brought in 176,000. And so basically that's a doubling of the 195,000 that you would have put down as the down payment. And none of this calculation includes any of the potentially significant advantages that you would have from any tax implications. So here we are, the residual value, 507,000, the total income over the course of the term, 1.35 million. Makes you want to think about putting a boat in charter. Operating costs, the loan down payment. These are all of the costs and return figures that went into the graph we saw on the previous slide. So basically a 5% return on the total cost of the boat. That's not a return on the amount that you put down as the down payment, the cash that you have involved. So in most circles, that would be considered a great investment. And I would have to say that it's likely to be one of the most fun investments you'll ever make. So we didn't have the Lagoon 46 7 years ago. We did have the Lagoon 450. So I took the Lagoon 450 and kind of, I basically figured out the price of what a Lagoon 450 would have been back in 2014 when the boat was new. And then I looked at the average sale price for those boats, and I'll show you a graph of all of the boats the US Lagoon 450s sold. They've actually been selling for an average of $559, so significantly higher than what we have put in our calculation. So if you bought a Lagoon 450 into this program, we would have calculated your sale price at $408,000 is what we would have expected, but in reality, it looks like it's significantly higher than that, around $559,000. So residual value is holding up extremely nicely. You think about it, the boats are going up 3, 4, 5% a year, and then they're going down a certain amount, but the net is much better than you would expect. So here's a bunch of boats. You can see I pulled 2013s, 2014s, and 2015s, so we'd have enough boats. And there was a high of 612,000 sold. That boat is an amazing boat. I've got to sail on it a lot. I love the boat. I actually took out the high and the low just so there weren't any outliers, and went with all of the numbers from the middle of the pack. And that's how we came to the 559 average sale price. I told you I'd tell you a little bit more about how we can keep our boats in the program for up to 7 years. Our service is second to none in the industry. We pull our boats out every year. They're bottom painted. A very substantial, really 11-page document covers everything we do to the boats during the course of the charter. And our annual service is very, very extensive. It's likely that we spend a little more than some of our competitors in the industry, but the results are amazing. Okay, there we go. So here are, if you do have questions, I wanted to put this up, and for those of you taking notes, please jot down the numbers. You'll have access to this if you want to look at it a little bit later. But right now, we have some really good questions that were asked. I know I'm a little wordy, so I'm going to try and cut myself short here so that we can get to the great questions and answers. And again, this is the time to start getting in the chat portion to ask any questions that you may have. So we're gonna start. We got a good question from Carlos. Joaquin, why don't you read the question and answer it for me, if you would?
You bet, Philip. The first question we have is from Carlos. He asked, does Navigare have a better price for cats? And where is the best tax-free location? Well, certainly Navigare does have some of the best prices on cats. Navigare is one of the largest dealers in the world, which does allow us to be a little more aggressive than some. And as such, you know, our primary goal is to partner with people so that these cats can go into the charter fleet. So we are a little more aggressive than some of the traditional yacht dealers. As far as the best tax-free location, it would absolutely be the British Virgin Islands. They like to have boats there, and they like the tourism traffic, and so they are very kind to everybody. I think they charge a license fee every year, and that's about it.
Great. And Mark, you asked, how do you exit the program after 7 years? And it's a really important question. And everybody I work with coming into the program, whether they ask the question or not, I definitely want to address it. And there's 3 real main reasons or exit strategies that somebody can look at. I'm a sailor. I love to sail. One of my favorite things to do, bar none, is crossing oceans. I love getting out, sailing around the world. I just absolutely will. I work for sail. So we do have a lot of people that put their boats in a program and expect to retire or stop working or take a sabbatical for a couple of years or a number of years at a certain date. So you can put the boat in the fleet at 2 years before, or 3 years before, or 4 years, or 7 years before you're planning on doing that. And some real good advantages. Obviously, the first and most important is that you'll be able to spend a lot of time on your boat, getting to know the systems intimately, getting to know everything about the boat, gaining experience on the boat. So when it is time to untie the dock lines and slip away and get across an ocean, much of that trepidation is going to be gone. Also, we do have, I mentioned we started the company about 20 years ago. We have owners that have been in one boat, rolling it into another boat constantly that entire time. Of those 6 initial investors, we still have 3 that have boats in our program. So that's another option. Basically, you'll tell us, and some people actually don't even wait the full 7 years. They'll trade boats after about 5 years or 3 years, depending on their situation and desires. So we'll offer you a fair trade value for your boat, and you roll it right into the next boat, and you keep sailing. And finally, we have owners that sell their boats after the program. We're happy to list the boat. We have a lot of people constantly asking for our boats when they come out of the charter fleet. People understand the quality of the boat that they're going to get when it leaves the Navigare program. So those are really the main exit strategies. And we've been quite successful in selling boats for significantly more than what the loan amount is. Jared, you asked a question, and it was just 2 words: tax incentives. And Joaquin, why don't you talk a little more about tax incentives?
All right. Well, Philip, I'm actually going to combine this with one other question that we've received from Casey, if you don't mind. And Casey asked, what are the IRS rules about passive versus active, and what requirements to take full depreciation? So I'm going to start by saying, you know, regarding tax incentives, everybody's situation is different, and I think it's very wise to contact a CPA who can understand your personal tax situation to determine what the best the best course of action is. And in fact, if you'd like some good referrals, we have some people that we work with, and we're happy to set people up with them so they can get a good understanding of what to do going forward. But basically, the IRS rules regarding passive and active is generally you can take active losses against active gains and passive losses against passive gains. This shared revenue program is structured specifically to allow people to take active losses if they like. Now, it can still be used as passive, and certainly would qualify for things like a second home deduction. But it is structured so that somebody can set up an entity and take active losses. It's a great setup for people that have high income during the year, or maybe have had a very good year, which would allow them to be more aggressive in the depreciation that they take. So part of this program, and the reason it's structured the way it is it gives a lot of flexibility to a U.S. taxpayer and allows them to maximize the deductions that are available. I think I got all of it.
Great. And Amanda, are you still with us? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Oh,
here.
great, 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 great. So Amanda, how many weeks per year can an owner use their boat? This question comes from Larry.
Well, Larry, what I usually say, and what we like to see, are owners use their boat around 8 to 12 weeks per year. But as I said earlier, there is the possibility for you to use your boat as much as you would like, but know that that's going to take away from the weeks that someone can be chartering and you receiving income. So there is that flexibility there. 8 to 12 weeks is what we would expect you to use, but we have the flexibility to use it more or less. Like we said, maximize your income or maximize your sailing. It's up to you.
Yeah, great. Nobody asked the question in the chat yet. I've seen some questions coming in, but nobody's asked the question, where exactly are you sailing, Amanda, right now?
Right now, I'm off the coast of the Florida Keys. It's in about 400 nautical miles from the Isla Mujeres, the island of Isla Mujeres off of Cancun.
Awesome. Welcome
Sorry
back.
if it's making people seasick.
All right. So we had a question from Larry. Who takes care of maintenance and any potential damage? So great question, Larry. This is a big asset, and you are trusting us with your asset. Other than homes, oftentimes this is our owner's largest asset. So it's important that we're very clear on how that works. We have a full maintenance team. We have some great technicians on mechanical side, rigging side, just the little squeaks and hinges and things like that. We take care of everything maintenance-wise, and most of it we do in-house. Some of the work we will outsource, for example, to the Yanmar dealer in the Virgin Islands, or the genset might have an outside contractor do some work. But typically we're doing all of the work in-house. And you asked about potential damage, always something that's on an owner's mind. There are really three costs, and I'm going to talk about it more from the cost side because that's important for this webinar, because as we mentioned earlier, the owner of the boat in this scenario is going to take the lion's share of the revenue, but you are also responsible for the cost. So maintenance, and I'm going to talk about damage, which could be a winch handle dropped overboard, something like that. Could be something bigger. It could be a mechanical system breaking down. But in general, there's really three types. And the good news is for the owner is that two of them are not paid for by the owner. So we do have, for our newer boats, warranty claims. So mechanical issues that are covered under warranty, we'll always submit those for payment. so owner doesn't have to worry about it. One caveat, not 100% of our warranty claims are honored. We submit and we'll resubmit, we'll give more information, but there comes a time after banging our head against the wall with the manufacturer that we just have to accept their read on that. We don't submit superfluous warranty claims. The manufacturers know us for that, and for the most part are very, very considerate and accept our claims with either no or very few questions, ask for more information. There's also anything that happens while a charter guest is on board, and that's covered by the charter guest and the co-insurance. So that's not going to be something that comes out of the owner's pocket. What is going to come out of the owner's pocket is things that just wear out on the boats, sails, lines, batteries, things like that. We're going to do oil changes, the routine maintenance. So that's something that the owner would pay for. But it's something that's done completely seamlessly. And we have an online portal. And I believe we're the only company that has that. So our technicians, or when a boat comes in, the debriefer will ask about any issues with the boat. Those will be put right into our maintenance program. The mechanics, if they notice anything, they'll put it in. As they're repairing things, they'll note that. The good news is, as a base manager and me as general manager and our home office in Sweden all has access to that information, so we can see trends with boats and trends with technicians, frankly. But also, you have access to this, so you can see everything that's happening on your boat. It's really, really been amazing, the quality of the work that we're getting done on our boats when a technician knows that his or her name is going to be associated with that work. So pretty excited about that. Casey's question was already answered, so let me just take the next one if you don't mind. It's Scott has asked, and I see you've asked this in the chat also, can I take an IRA withdrawal to buy a boat and offset it with a Section 179 deduction? An absolute unqualified definite maybe. We do have owners that are pulling funds out of trust funds and other investment opportunities that they have. The only way to be able to answer that definitively is to know your very specific tax situation. You had mentioned Section 179. There are other sections, 183, other sections that may be more applicable for your situation. We work with some great CPAs that answer that question. And I go to boat shows, and I can't wait to see all of you guys in Annapolis. It looks like it's happening, so I'm excited. I'll tell you a little bit more about that at the end. The by the side of the dock seminars really give a kind of a one-size-fits-all presentation, and that's not at all the case. It's very specific. There are a lot of ins and outs, a lot of very simple paperwork, filings that if they're not filed could be $20,000. So you really want to get a full education, and we're happy to work with you one-on-one with the CPA to get all of the information you need to make sure that you don't hit any roadblocks or miss any of the amazing qualifications and loopholes that there are that allow for very significant tax advantages. So Amanda, why don't you talk to Stephen about the no income program? How does that work? You're on mute. I don't know if you can hear me, but you're muted.
Sorry. Okay. Basically, that's our SMART program, what we call our Navigare SMART program. And what the investor will do is he will give us a 50% down payment for his catamaran and a little bit more for a monohull if he chooses to put one of those in. And we will basically let him have all the usage of the holiday plan and the fun of that, but in 7 years, hand him the keys of the boat. So he's putting down a larger amount instead of the 25%, he's putting down 50%. And in 7 years, he actually takes the keys of the boat free and clear.
Pretty awesome. That's
very awesome.
That's
so
pretty
that's
awesome.
for the person. That works for our Canadian owners.
And go ahead and answer Patrick on the expected return in the guaranteed revenue program, our ultimate program, the difference between a monohull and a catamaran.
Right. So we use the Lagoon 46 for this example at 11.5% return per the cost of the boat per year. So the same goes for a monohull. It's going to be a little bit less depending on the configuration and how many cabins, but it's usually around 6, 7, sometimes 5% return on the boat per year on the cost of the boat, total cost of the boat. So that's the difference. And one more thing I wanted to answer, Larry, these calculations that we put forth on the Lagoon 46 and all of our pro formas are based on 23 weeks of charter. That's correct, Philip? 23 weeks of charter.
They're
and
based
our
on
average,
Mhm.
yeah, and our average is 26 weeks of charter. So we want to under promise and possibly over deliver. Now, obviously, due to COVID, that has changed this year, and everybody knows it. But the previous years and over 20 years of experience, we have pro formas that show 26 weeks average, but we use 23 weeks. So hopefully that answers your question, Larry.
Very good. And yeah, it's 26.4 weeks on average for this size catamaran. And that's in the BVI. Out of all of our fleets, this is the most lucrative base. Just as a little teaser, we're looking at a base in the Bahamas that would likely be right in line with the BVI. So Dimitri asked about Canadian ownership. Dimitri, we have really good partners in Quebec, in Ontario, and British Columbia. I'd love to let you work with them. They have some interesting options on that. If you'll get with us, we'll happily give you that contact information. And but I don't have real specific answers I can give you. We're running a little bit behind schedule, but Ralph asked a question: with down payment, how does the financing guarantee work? Is the ship collateral? Joaquin?
All right, Ralph. Well, typically, traditional financing, yes, the ship would be used as collateral. It's kind of like the mortgage on a house. They'll check income and your reserves and use the ship as collateral. You know, that being said, there are other options, which Amanda just mentioned above. We have a SMART program, which the ship again is used as collateral, but you don't have as many hoops to jump through as it's done directly with us. And then there are also some other options out there, such as signatory loans, or some people will take out loans and back it with maybe their portfolio as opposed to the ship. So there are options, but the traditional loan is a ship-backed mortgage.
Okay, we have run over time as usual. I was trying to keep things kind of on a deadline. Didn't do it. Real quickly, there are a couple of questions. Yes, this is going to be available for replay. Since you signed up, you'll automatically get an email with a link to this. So if we went a little quickly, definitely going to be able to watch it again. Do we pull the boats out of the water during hurricane season? Yes, we do. Our boats go on the hard. That's when we do the bulk of our annual maintenance, the full multi-page list of everything we do on the boats. Also, there's been some questions about what about the boat in the BVI for the winter and the Med for the summer? Doesn't pencil out for the most part. The BVI season is so long, it really runs into June and July. So there's not a lot of time to get a boat to the Med where, I mean, you could pull it out and, but the month to get it there, month to get it back, with maybe even a couple more weeks of additional work. The expenses don't typically pencil out. We do have some boats, however, that will operate from our base in the BVI and potentially go to Newport, Rhode Island. So we're happy to entertain that, and the numbers look a lot better for something like that. So I hate to, we got some more questions coming in, but I apologize. Those of you that submitted questions earlier, I think we went through every one of them. How do you get involved? This is intriguing. You want to find out more. Typically, the boats that are being produced are a year to, in some cases, almost 2 years out for a delivery date. We've got some pre-orders, so you really want to be thinking at least a year in advance. So a couple of things you can do. Talk to us. We'll ask you 10,000 questions to help find out really what your ultimate desires are for the investment, whether it's more sailing oriented, cash oriented. We'll help you find the program that works the best. But in the meantime, we can get you with some banks to learn about the qualification process, see really what you need for that. We can take, in some cases, small deposits to lock in a hull with nothing else due until the boat's ready to come out of the factory. So you do want to start thinking about that in advance. Let's see. There were a couple of things. I told you I was going to tell you something, but I forgot. So I am just going to have you guys give us a call. Call Joaquin, call Amanda, call me. We would love to answer any questions you have. And we'll see you out sailing. Oh, that's what it was. We have some specials on charters. So if you want to get out and sail, especially in 2020, October, November, December in the Virgin Islands, if you call or chat on our webpage and talk to one of our agents, probably Lisa or Marilyn, and let them know that you were on this webinar, then we have a very special for you guys. Also, something new and really exciting. I didn't realize it was going to be so much fun, but last Friday we had an auction. We had 4 boats that we specified the time for, put them up for auction, and had a great time auctioning them off. We're going to do the same thing tomorrow. So respond back to the email that you got this link on, and we'll get you a link to that auction as well. On behalf of the entire Navigare team, we are very, very glad that you came with us today, and look forward to seeing you out sailing. See you on the water. Thanks.